Paulie Malignaggi here, Paulie TV. Jake Paul, unanimous decision over Nate Diaz. And I did call it. This is what I call. You know what, guys? Sometimes I get it right. You know what I'm saying? To be honest, now we're starting to see Jake Paul in multiple fights, so we can kind of like compare him one fight to the other, see if he's improving, see if he's not improving. We didn't see BJ Flores in the corner of Jake Paul this time around, so I guess he made a change in the corner after the loss to Tommy Fury. But although Jake is capable, and Jake obviously knows how to throw his punches and whatnot, I didn't see a lot of improvements here. You know, Nate is a really, really tough, durable guy. I think Jake has that big right hand. In some cases, when you get a big knockout like that, like Jake has had earlier in his career over a couple of opponents, sometimes you kind of fall in love with your power and you're looking for this kind of power. And as you raise up the level of opposition, you may not find that kind of power to be able to land it, or sometimes the better fighters also have better chins. As we've seen Jake raise his level of opposition, you're not seeing the same kind of power in the last few fights. Now, that doesn't mean it's not there, but I also think that if he's going to land it against these better fighters, I think he also needs to, work on the technique a little bit and not just let these big bombs fly away. And what I'm saying by better fighters, yes, he's not fighting boxers, but he went from fighting MMA, a basketball player. First, he went to fight a YouTuber, actually. Then he fought a basketball player. And then he fought MMA guys who were not strikers. And now he's fighting MMA guys who are strikers, Although Nate Diaz is a jiu-jitsu black belt, he's a pretty good striker. He had at least had a reputation to be a pretty good striker. And you're starting to see that, he's having a little bit more trouble, getting those kind of guys out of there. Even Anderson Silva, he dropped them. Nate Diaz, he dropped them, but he wasn't able to get them out of there. Tommy Fury was a boxer. He got outboxed against Tommy Fury. I think with Jake has the capabilities here to make some subtle adjustments. Personally, I think his hand positioning is what is giving him trouble. I think when he throws that right hand, his hands are flying instead of throwing it from here. Even if he's going to throw that loopy right hand, which against a southpaw is helpful, you want to let it go from your chin and throw it around. He's throwing it from out here and from all over the place. And then if he puts more than one or two punches in the combination, he's throwing them from all over the place. And you're taking away your power, and you're also taking away the deception in the punch when you do that. So you got to be a little bit more deceptive, just a little bit more crafty in terms of the technique. You know what I'm saying? Because I think Jake, if he lands those kind of shots correctly, I think he's still going to get guys out of there or even hurt guys. Because let's face it, he's dropping Nate Diaz and he dropped Anderson Silva, even though he didn't get them out of there, But again, he's not able to land the way he needs to. And against a guy like Tommy Fury, he wasn't able to land the way he needed to at all because Tommy actually had the boxing footwork. So if you're going to keep raising the level of opposition, I think Jake needs to work on, yes, the footwork, but also the positioning of the hands when he's throwing those shots, Also, in terms of conserving his energy, Nate at a certain point was just coming forward, because Nate also doesn't have great footwork. He's an MMA guy. He's coming forward, and what is he doing? He's just putting mental pressure on Jake, and Jake is burning a lot of energy. Jake's hopping around all over the ring. I think there's also ways where you can slow down the pace without having to fight your way to slow down the pace. Because when guys don't have a lot of experience, they think they have to fight a guy off them every time. When a guy's pressuring you, there's different ways you can actually slow down the pace. You can actually drop some feints as you're backpedaling, and that will slow kind of the pressure down. And then right off those feints, maybe jab at the guy. Now all of a sudden you can, you got this guy who's gonna come forward, but he's gonna stop at times because he's gonna bite on what you're doing, and that's gonna stop his forward momentum, and it's gonna give you options. Also, you can change the look, you can change your levels, you can, throw different shots, of course, which Jake was throwing shots, but there's also those different little subtle things you can do where the guy will react to it even if he's coming forward and may slow down his pressure or not come forward with as much enthusiasm, especially if you start confusing him with even some jabs off of all those things. Simple things, they slow down the pressure, they slow down the pace, and then the pressure won't bother you as much. Nate could have caught off the ring though, because Jake doesn't have this in his repertoire yet. Is it something you pick up as you gain that experience? Because Jake doesn't have this in his repertoire yet, Nate, if he knew how to cut off the ring, would have given Jake a lot of problems last night, man. I'm telling you, I think, in some ways Jake was fortunate Nate didn't know how to cut off the ring. Because Jake was able to circle the ring, and even though he was burning energy, he was able to at least find the escape routes. And Nate's footwork was so bad that he was just trying to come forward and then punch when he got there. And Jake at least was able to beat him to the punches because Jake at least was using those long punches at times, So overall, a win for Jake Paul. They say that there might be a rematch in MMA. I don't know. I mean, I really, I don't get into all those rumors, especially when it comes to this kind of stuff. So who knows? But a good win for Jake Paul. But again, I wouldn't mind if Jake's gonna, because you can only put Jake in with certain kind of opponents right now as you're looking to get him better. I'm not necessarily sure that he's kind of surpassed this level of opposition yet, so I wouldn't even mind seeing this rematch in a boxing match or somebody like this again. Before you can put Jake back in with a real boxer, you're going to deal with the guy's footwork. I think you're going to have to correct Jake's footwork, and you're not going to have to correct the positioning of Jake's hands when he's firing those shots. The power is there, but as he's going to be fighting better opposition, he's going to have to be a little bit more deceptive with how he disguises when he's throwing that power and also how he sets it up with his feet. I'm Paulie Malignaggi. This is Paulie TV. Let me know what you guys think of the fight. Were you guys interested in the Jake Paul fight? I mean, obviously, this guy sells tons of pay-per-views every time he fights, so obviously there's an interest somewhere. What do you guys think? Especially my hardcore boxing fans. What do you guys think of the technique? Who should Jake Paul fight next? That's for all of you. Because I know the hardcore boxing fans might not be as interested, but in terms of an overall opinion, who should Jake Paul fight next? Yes, I know you guys all want to see him fight a boxer, but in your mind, if you're on his team, because remember, if you're on his team, you don't want to see him get beat, right? But you want to see him continue to improve. Who do you put him against next? I'm Paulie Malignaggi, Paulie TV.